Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Conversations in FE, our quickfire rundown on what's happening in Jisc and across FE and skills more generally.
I'm Hazel Bone, Deputy Director for Relationship Management for the South.
And I'm Ellie Tucker, Senior Relationship Manager for the North. Thanks for joining us again.
We'll be bringing you a short roundup of the things we think are most useful to you right now, what's new across Jisc, what's happening in the sector, and insights and ideas that can help you get the most out of your membership.
We will also share a few stories from members, what they're up to, and what's been working for them.
And if you have any thoughts, feedback, or want to get involved, just reply to the FE update. Your message will go straight to your relationship manager.
Let's get started with this month's Conversations in FE.
So, Ellie, today we're talking cybersecurity and something called a SOC. So, we've just published an article at Jisc. When is a SOC not a SOC? Now, for anyone who doesn't spend their evenings reading security reports, what exactly is a SOC?
SOC stands for Security Operations Center, so think of it as a security team's command center. It's there to monitor networks, detect cyber threats, and respond quickly when something suspicious happens.
So, that sounds reassuring, but apparently, not everything labeled as a SOC is actually a SOC.
Exactly. That's the warning that's coming from cybersecurity specialists. Some services are marketed as fully managed SOCs, but in reality, they're much closer to what we call a managed SIEM service.
And what does that mean in plain English?
Basically, they collect logs and send alerts when something looks wrong, but they don't necessarily investigate or respond to those alerts. It's a bit like having a burglar alarm that sends you a text message but doesn't call the police or lock the doors.
So, you're getting notifications, but you're still responsible for the problem.
That's right. A true SOC should be monitoring and responding around the clock because cyber criminals don't just work 9 to 5.
Okay. So the article also talks about identity attacks. So why is that becoming such a big issue?
Attackers have become really good at targeting users' identities and credentials. Instead of trying to break into a system directly, they will steal login details, impersonate legitimate users, and move around networks without being noticed.
Which does sound much harder to spot.
Exactly. That's why a SOC should include something called Identity Threat Detection and Response, or ITDR. If it can't monitor key identity systems like, for example, Active Directory, it could miss some of the most dangerous stages of an attack.
Okay. There was another warning sign that stood out to me, and that's around the extra costs when something quite serious happens.
Yes, so we've heard that some providers charge separately for major incident response or digital forensic investigations, for example. So, just when you're dealing with a cyber crisis, you could also be facing some unexpected bills as well.
So that's not exactly ideal during an emergency.
Definitely not. A strong SOC service should include cyber incident response expertise so organizations know support is there when you need it most.
So if someone's looking at a SOC service, what questions should they be asking?
Well, from the article, the key points are things like, do analysts actually investigate alerts? Can they actively contain threats? Is identity protection included? And are incident response and forensic services part of the package?
So in other words, don't just ask whether it's a SOC, ask what it actually does.
Because when it comes to cybersecurity, false confidence can be just as dangerous as having no protection at all.
Okay. So it's a really great reminder to look beyond the marketing and understand what's really being delivered. Okay. So, from protecting our organisations from cyber threats, let's move to another challenge facing colleges making sure digital strategies actually make a difference to staff and students. Dan Hughes, our lead for digital leadership and culture here at Jisc, has written an article about turning digital leadership into student impact.
Yes, so having a great strategy document is one thing. Turning it into real improvements in classrooms, services, and student experience is something completely different.
Ellie, I think we've all seen organisations produce impressive digital strategies, but sometimes it's hard to see what actually changes on the ground.
Absolutely. One of the biggest challenges is moving from ambition to action. Lots of colleges have strong digital plans, but then translating those into tangible benefits for students and staff can be really difficult.
So, what's usually getting in the way?
I think one of the biggest barriers that we have seen is around alignment. So, digital leaders are often passionate about innovation and new technologies, but if their plans aren't clearly linked to organizational priorities, it can be really hard to build momentum and therefore secure support.
So, technology can't be the goal in itself.
Exactly. The most successful digital strategies start with organizational goals, whether that's improving student outcomes, increasing efficiency, or enhancing teaching and learning. Digital initiatives need to support these objectives.
Okay. Another point that stood out to me was engagement. You can't really transform an organisation if the people affected haven't been involved.
Yeah, I think that's right. So staff and students need to feel part of that conversation. If a strategy is simply handed down from above, implementation becomes much more challenging. When people help shape the approach, they are more likely to understand the benefits and support the change.
And let's be honest, some strategy documents can be a little dense.
It's a polite way of putting it. Many are lengthy and full of jargon. The best strategies tend to be the simplest. So, a good test is whether a new member of staff or a student can read it and quickly understand what it means for them.
The article also highlighted South Staffordshire College as an example of digital leadership in practice.
Yes, their head of digital learning talked about how participating in Jisc's Digital Leaders program helped bridge the gap between strategic thinking and practical delivery. So it gave them a framework for turning ideas around things like AI and immersive technologies into real organizational change.
And that's really the key message, isn't it? Digital transformation isn't about having the flashiest technology.
Exactly. It's about connecting strategy to outcomes, being willing to experiment, learning from others, and measuring impact along the way. Especially when budgets are tight, organizations need to demonstrate that digital investment is genuinely improving experiences and delivering results.
So perhaps the question leaders should be asking isn't what's our digital strategy, but how will our students and staff notice the difference?
I think that's a perfect way of putting it.
Finally, a quick update from Jisc and Adobe. They, being Adobe, have renewed their enterprise license agreement, giving UK colleges and universities access to Adobe's creative and AI powered tools with predictable pricing for the next 3 years.
Don't forget to renew your licenses by the 17th of July.
We'll be back in the autumn term. Have a lovely summer.
Make sure you find some time to have a break.
Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. It's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from her.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.